Welcome to Ellis Mowers and More. Today we've got a John Deere 345 lawn tractor in here that is having a very interesting issue, and I've already targeted it, I think. I'm going to show you what it is, and we're going to see if we can fix that, and we'll do it here next. So here's the 345. What it's doing is I brought it in here and it is just, it has suddenly had no spark, like sudden. And the guy did say it ran for like 20-30 minutes before it would start acting up. And I'm thinking we've got some issue here, and I want to show you what it is. So let's get a little bit closer and get down here. So if I crank it up, this is the time delay module, and if I crank it up, let me push it in. I don't think it'll spark, so no, it won't spark. But when I pull it out here, that's some crazy stuff. I didn't know if there was something going on with the connections and everything right here, because those are a little bit wonky, but they're not terrible. But as soon as I pull this wire, it almost kind of looks like somebody has been in here and replaced this, because there was a zip tie and stuff on it too. But as soon as I pull this wire and get it tight, it will contact that bolt in there, which is just like a little 10mm. So I'm just going to take the 10mm socket here. I want to see if I can tighten this down, because it looks like to me we've got an issue with a ground here. So basically I'm going to tighten the bolt down a little bit. If I have to, I'll replace the wire and just ground it out somewhere else or something. But yeah, so let me do this. See if this will do anything. That wire was not, or that bolt was not very tight, I would suppose. Let's see if it'll act up now. Well, it's turned off, but not because of spark. So that's kind of weird. But anyways, now I have no power at the switch. So that's very interesting. Very interesting. So we may have multiple fold problems here. Like this thing's completely dead now. My goodness, what did I just do? Like it won't even. This is kind of crazy. Because I just did that. Run for a second. And then all of a sudden, I have no power anymore. So that is crazy. And it had spark the whole time. It was losing power. So, like I said, it's almost like somebody just killed the battery on it. Very interesting. Alright, well, let me do a little more troubleshooting, but that definitely fixed a spark problem that we had. But no, nothing happened until I hit the switch. Crazy. So no power to the switch was a blown fuse over here, probably because of what I was doing with the messing around with this thing right here. So what I did, like I said, I didn't really like the connector right here because there's some loose wires and stuff. I took the 3 wires, the yellow, the 2 yellows and the black that go here, and I just put a wire nut on for right now. I'm gonna run this thing. I want to run it for about a half hour one day and see if it acts up on me, and if it does, then we'll revisit this. But if it doesn't, then we may have got it. So I'm thinking we definitely had a ground situation going on down here at the back of the wire where it bolted into the little module back here. It looks like a little ignition module, I guess. And then we have that little, what I thought may have been a connection issue right here where everything joined together. So I'll get back to y'all, see what it ended up being, and we'll revisit it if we need to when it comes to the this little ignition barrel here. Here we are a few days later. I cut the entire yard with it. It stumbled like 2 or 3 times and tried to cut off on me after like 20-ish minutes or so. But I was able to keep it running and cut the entire thing. So, and it's like a fuel starvation issue. So I'm thinking these carburetors, it is so hard to get right. If you've been here with the channel for a while, I had an LX279 that I spent weeks trying to figure out. And then an LX1, I think it's a 178 that has the liquid cooled Kawasaki on it, that I spent some time jetting out the carb and stuff. That mower is actually still running to this day. The guy's still cutting grass with it. He's had it 4 years now, and it's probably been 3 since I jetted the carb out. Now don't get me wrong, that thing runs real rich. You gotta throw some plugs in it every year, but it's still running, and it doesn't cut off while it's cutting grass. So, granted, given all of that. So we're taking the 10 millimeters off of this little plastic elbow, or they were 12 millimeters, I apologize. And then you had 2 10 millimeters holding it on up top. If you're lucky, everything comes off like it's supposed to, like this. And then I've already disconnected the fuel line from the carb, and this is disconnected. This little anti-backfire solenoid is disconnected. You can see that we may have had a tiny bit of fuel seepage coming from somewhere at some point. And oh, the choke is off of the carbs. That's interesting. And the throttle both came off. That never happens. So we'll have to work on that, getting those back in, obviously. Usually it doesn't come off this easy though. You have a jet on top. I'm going to try and clean this up a little bit before we work on it. I'm going to take note of the carb here. So we've got a jet on top. Right there. And then, this thing wants to give up a fight. Alright. And this choke will get off as well. Okay. That jet, and then we got to get a 10 millimeter to get that jet off, and we'll see what it's like in here. It kind of looks like there's a little bit of stickiness, varnish type stuff that's kind of on the edge here. So I'm thinking that we may have had a little bit of old gas and a little bit of blockage in here, but hopefully not too bad. Hopefully I can just, I mean, it was surging already, but hopefully I can just hop in here and clean out some jets, and I'm going to jet it out maybe 1 to 2 thousandths on the bottom and on the top to get us to a decent amount. And then I tried to use this to richen it a little bit, but a lot of times that doesn't work very well. So 10 millimeter, I'll get it on the workbench. It may not be the cleanest area in the world, but we're going to get it off, see what we can do. Alright guys, so here's the carb after I take the 10mm bowl nut off, and I've already unscrewed the little top screw here. We've got a very, very small jet right here, and we've got a jet that's actually attached to the bowl gasket, or the bowl nut, right here. There's a little bit of residue and varnish up top here, on the bottom here of this bolt. Not terrible, we'll get that kind of brushed off here in just a second. But what I'm going to do is enlargen these jets just a little bit. We might even have a blockage on this one, I'm not completely sure. But what this will do is it will allow more fuel to get there, and shouldn't surge as bad as it has, or as it is. But so it looks like we've got good flow going there. And I'm just going to take, especially on the top right here, just a little wire. To get some of that off. It's going to be a little harder to do it down here on the bottom, but we can try. I don't think that's really the source of our issue. I just think that age and time have started catching up to this machine. So what I'm going to do is grab my micro drill bit set, show you how to do this very quickly before we put everything back on. I don't think that this solenoid is the problem, because I don't think it would run for 20 minutes and then cause problems. So, and I also don't think that I have a fuel issue either, like a fuel delivery, because the pump is nice and strong on it. So try and get you all in a good position. I'm going to grab the micro drill bit set here. And I've got multiple bits. I've just got to figure out which one I want to use on here. Because that's already pretty large, so I'm wondering if it's like a 12 thousandths. We'll see if the 10 is big enough to fit through here, and it is. So we'll go to, I don't have an 11 thousandths here, which is kind of weird, but actually go to the 13. So 13 is not big enough to go through, although it's pretty close. So we're going to take this, put it in, and then what we'll do is we'll just rotate the bit through the jet here, which if you have a better micro drill bit set than I do, then that'll probably work better. But yeah, it's not really taking too much off of it, so you just keep going until the hole gets drilled through. Remember, you don't want to go too many. Too big. I'm just going to keep drilling this. I'm going to do the same process for the top jet here, enlarging it maybe 1 to 2 thousandths, and we'll be good. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of this, put the carb back on. Again, you have to kind of put the linkages back on vertically. It's a little bit difficult, but I think you could be able to do it, and we'll see if it runs any better after that. Back on. It's a little bit of a task because you got to line everything up just right because of the clearance up under here. But once you do that, you can also take these two pieces off right here for the bracket, for the choke and the throttle, and that may give you a little bit more leverage there. One thing I also did, the throttle governor spring is right here. I pushed that out just a tiny bit to give it a little bit more throttle because it didn't seem like it was maybe a tiny bit low on RPMs and stuff, but I can't get it to idle, and these by far are the worst engines to try and tune a carb on that I've ever worked on for a piece of lawn equipment. But we've got it going at the high RPM and mowing speed. It doesn't sound like it's surging anymore, which is good. And hopefully it'll crank here. The air fuel adjustment's way up under there, so I can try and get up under there and change that, but like this is not a very user-friendly machine when it comes to working on the carb and stuff on it. So that's the unfortunate part about these. But I mean, it'll crank right back up. Put the hood back on. It's raining today, and haven't really had a lot of grass grow. I need to run it for a little bit, see if we can get everything to work like it's supposed to. I think that the fuel delivery issue, the fuel problem, was part of the carb issues potentially, so hopefully we're resolved. I want to run it for a good 20 to 30 minutes again, see if I have any issues with it before I send it back to the guy, because he's got a decent amount of grass to cut, and I don't want him to be out in the middle of the yard and the thing just die on him. That's the one negative I have around here, is I don't have a lot of grass to cut and test these out. But regardless, it's all back on. It's running fine. Consider the wear and tear of this machine. And I'll report back, let y'all know what else we need to do to this, or if we're done with this. Well, unfortunately, the jetting of the carb didn't really seem to work. It still likes to cut off randomly and stuff like that. So, given all that, I am going to, and the park brake doesn't want to seem to retract like it's supposed to either. Like it almost needs a little bit of lubrication or something, which I'll give it some. It's just down here underneath the foot pedals. But I'm going to swap the carb out. I've already shown you how to really do the carb work on this, so I'm going to swap that out, and hopefully that resolves that issue, and we'll hopefully be done with it. I got to cut the yard again with it to see if it works, because you get tools out and parts out, and next thing you know. So, unfortunately, I bought the wrong carburetor. This is, I guess, for a smaller, like a LX 188 type machine. This is a smaller bolt pattern than this right here. So, not good, but I cleaned the carb out, cleaned the jets out once again, and what I did is I ran it for about 15 minutes. You see we got grass on the deck and stuff. And then it started sputtering, not really running very good, and then it quit again. And then when I pulled all the lines out, I wasn't getting any pumping from the fuel pump. So I believe we had a vapor lock situation. This is what I saw, and man, it's been so long since I've worked on that LX279. I almost need to go back and look at some videos of it. But I had an LX188 in here that had this fuel pump set up on it. Somebody had bypassed the one that goes down there because there's a lot of heat that gets right here. So if we can get the heat away from any of this fuel line, that's good. And I guess they just didn't put an exhaust shield or something on these things, so the exhaust is just coming, all the exhaust heat's just coming straight up there. Maybe this one's missing. But drilled a little hole in the plastic valve cover, ran a line up to the pulse to this fuel pump, inlet line, outlet line, and I tell you what, it's running better than it has since it's come in. So, well, let me give it a little throttle. And remember, it was not idle before. It takes a second to shut down, which it wasn't doing earlier either. So, man, I don't know. Maybe I'd throttle it all the way down before I shut it off, so it was probably shutting itself off. So, I'm going to throw the hood back on it after I ate lunch and go out here and cut some with it. I don't know, because I've read some forums. I don't know if the carb itself, it's boiling inside the carb and evaporating, or if it was the whole situation down here, since all the heat was down here. Once it got to the fuel pump, it was evaporating either before or after it got past the fuel pump. So I'm hoping that's the case. Still got a lot more, well, for my yard, a lot more grass to cut. Probably about half. I'm going to ride it. I may ride it around a little bit more, and we're going to see if it goes. I drained all the gas out of the tank, put some fresh gas in it. And I've also been told that ethanol-free fuel works good too. I've got some back there in the back. I don't use ethanol-free gas in my machines that I work on because 9 times out of 10, most people aren't using it, and I want to make sure that it runs good on regular pump gas. So I'm going to throw some more gas in this. I'll report back. So this is a little bit of a saga, but I hope we got it figured out. Alright guys, so this is kind of the last thing. Like I said, I'm almost certain it's vapor locking. It's not a carb issue or anything like that. I've been deceived many times before, but here's what I have done. I'm kind of battling the sun here because I'm just doing it right here at the edge of the garage because my garage is pretty full. But I have put a heat shield on this thing. Yeah, it's a little bit open right here, but for all intents and purposes, it's right here, protecting the carburetor, protecting the fuel line. The fuel line's been raised up. I have put aluminum foil to help reflect some of the heat off of this fuel line here as well. And so we're trying everything here. Another difference I'm going to do, and y'all may think I'm crazy, but I do not use non-ethanol gas here in the shop. Mostly because most of my clients are probably not going to use it as well, and I want to make sure that the mower runs on regular pump gas. So I've done that. What I'm going to do here is take out the gas that I have put in, and then in one of these cans around here, I've got a fresh 2.5 gallons of non-ethanol fuel I'm going to put in here. I'm going to get rid of the existing fuel in here, which is fine. It's just pump gas. And I'm going to put the hood on this thing, and we're going to give it a whirl. Actually, I'm going to clean it. I'm going to pressure wash the engine off first, because some of the dirt and grime could be causing it to be running a little hot as well. So I'm going to pressure wash the engine off, put some non-ethanol fuel in it. I've got the fuel lines protected with a heat shield. I've got the exhaust. I don't know if this is missing or if this just never came with it. A heat shield over this to help keep the gas from boiling inside the carburetor and to the carburetor. We've got the relocated fuel pump here so that it's further away and there's not as much heat down here where it's pumping fuel, especially with it being right above the muffler. And I mean, this is what we're going to try, and hopefully this is what's going to work. So I'll report back to y'all if this ends up working. I want to get this to where it will run like it is supposed to with the hood on, so my man don't have to run it ghetto style, if that makes any. That's probably a bad reference, but you know, a lot of people have feelings about running mowers with no hoods on them, about looks and stuff. So I'm going to try and get this thing to where it's going to run with a hood on it, and hopefully we'll be good. I'll report back to y'all. I'm going to try and cut the entire yard. It's been about a week after I originally tried this with the relocated fuel pump, and so hopefully these upgrades here will hopefully get this to where it will run like it is supposed to. I think just age and time and things along those lines don't benefit these machines, but they'll literally run forever. But you got to be careful with, you know, vapor lock and heat soak and all that stuff on these. Well, unfortunately, after all of that effort, heat shield, stuff around the fuel line and all that junk, it ran for about 5 minutes, started surging and cut off. As soon as I took the hood off, what did it do? Ran great for the entire rest of the yard. Cut about 30 minutes with it and didn't have any issues. So unfortunately, I have, unless I put a carburetor on it, run out of ideas for what I need to do for this. I know I did an LX279 one time that the carburetor worked on with the new carburetor, but it doesn't really matter if it's not getting gas to the carburetor, if that makes sense. So, or if it's evaporating. So, I think we're gonna be done with this one, as much as I hate to say it. So I want to do my best to provide a solution for y'all for everything here on the channel, and we've tried everything that I can think of except for the carburetor, which could work, but if it's not getting gas to the carburetor, then what's a new carburetor going to do, you know? So that's kind of where I'm at with it, and I'm just going to tell the guy, be like, look, I have tried absolutely everything, and it will run fine and cut grass with the hood off, but as soon as you put the hood on, run it for a few minutes, it just cuts out. So, and I've been able to test that twice now, test that hypothesis twice now, and it has proven itself to work. So, I don't know, y'all, but that's gonna be the solution for this one, unfortunately. Like I said, if we get a quick recap of everything I've done, I've relocated the fuel pump, I cleaned the carburetor out, I took off the anti-backfire solenoid on the carburetor, I gave it a good wash, I put new spark plugs in it, I tightened up that ignition module over on the side over there, and it, because it wasn't sparking there at one point in time, and I think that's about it that I did, in addition to the heat shield here, which none of that really seemed to help any. So the only other hypothesis I have is that that ignition module was getting too hot and was flaking out after a few minutes, and running it with the hood off of it actually helps it. I don't know, but then that doesn't explain the whole it's not getting gas to the carburetor and it's vapor locking. So I think we're just going to let this one roll as it is and tell them that, you know, as long as you run with the hood off of it, you're going to be just fine. And we'll see what ends up happening, if we see this mower again or what happens after that. But I just want to show you everything I tried, and it seems like the solution to this one, unlike the solution to the LX279, which had a carburetor, which ended up being the thing to fix it, because I think I tried to run that one without the hood, and it didn't help. And then the LX188, which I drilled the carb jets out on, and that mower's still running to this day, 3 to 4 years later. Again, no hood on it either. So we'll see. But thank y'all again for watching this video. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. At least got some ideas. If y'all have any ideas as to what fixed yours, aside from taking the hood off, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to see the feedback and stuff if y'all had some solutions that were different than mine. Thank you very much. I'll catch y'all on the next video.